Welcome to Coleman Report Live. I'm Bob Coleman. We're talking Main Street and the small business lenders who help it grow. Katie Roach, our editor, a little fuzzy there. Katie, you okay? There you go. It's just my turn.
Yeah, my internet's a little slow today. Don't know why.
I think all of ours are. Lance Sexton, good to see you. Thank you very much, Lance. Bob Judge, co-founder, CEO, Government Loan Solutions. Bob is the not recognized expert. I don't know how we came up with that. Is the expert in evaluation of SPV assets. He is in an undisclosed location in New York City. Bob, I love to ask this. How is New York treating you these days?
It's getting better. We have outdoor seating. Museums are opening today. So little by little, things are getting better. Next week, gym's open. So we're getting there. Slowly but surely getting back to normal.
Let's start at the top, Bob. Tell everyone what exactly you and your company provide, the service you provide to the industry.
Sure. Pretty much everything having to do with the secondary market. So we help banks and non-bank lenders sell their guaranteed portion to the secondary market. So we'll represent them finding a bid. We then help them with the settlement. And then we also do the gain on sale calculation, which provides all the accounting entries and amortization schedules you need to record the sale. On an ongoing basis, we do servicing valuation, which is what a bank has to do on a quarterly basis to check for any impairment to their servicing portfolio. So pretty much everything.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so pretty much everything to do with the secondary market. We also produce a CPR report, which is a monthly publication, talks about what's going on in the marketplace for 7A, 504, and SBIC, and also provide data analytics around loan performance.
So you will go in, you will value a portfolio of what is the current market value. Is that a fair layman's explanation of what you do?
Yeah. So you have to check. A bank has to check their servicing portfolio for what their amortized value is versus the fair market value, and their amortized value has to be at or above the fair market value.
Hopefully,
if it isn't, they then have to write it down to the fair market value.
Who is that valuation for? Does SBA care? The auditors, the regulators? Who is your market up, or who is your audience for that?
All the above. Regulators, the CFO, auditors, everybody who cares about, properly accounting within the bank for their assets cares about it.
Great. Well, thank you very much for that, Bob. It's always great to have you. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the joint ventures you and I participate in. Let's go to the poll questions. What do you think premiums will do in 7A for the balance of the year? And I always love to ask this question for Bob because I love to hear him tap dance. He will not give a, oh yeah, it's going to do this and this. So let's give your answers.
It's never a good idea to make any definitive statements about premiums. But right now, the market is extremely. The market is extremely high. The market is very high right now.
I'm sorry, I keep talking over you. What do you think about these responses? 23% increase, 20% decrease, 58% remain the same.
Well, I would say right now, the market is extremely high. It's moving up pretty much on a daily basis, since March. And right now we're at, we're nearing 120, believe it or not, on the long end for a 2 3/4 coupon interest rate loan, which we haven't seen that in 4 or 5 years, and that's usually pretty close to the all-time high. So we're right near, we're butting up against the all-time highs in the secondary market, shockingly, considering the state of the economy. But the one main driver is the Fed has a TALF program, which finances SBA pools for investors at a very cheap rate. So that has been driving the prices higher. And, of course, prepayments have been very low the last 3 months, between 5% and 6%, which, of course, makes it more attractive to own it than when prepayments are high. So right now, I would say, because we're nearing all-time highs, I would say we're going to stay here or maybe drop a little bit. It seems very hard to believe we can get, above 120 in the long end, but it may happen.
I love to hear you tap dance. Great job. So what do you think for 2021 in our budget? What should we just plug in the same numbers? Think a little, what do you recommend to the CFO and the department managers for 2021?
Well, I would say, I would back it off where it currently is because that TEL program is supposed to, sunset at the end of the year. Maybe they extend it a little bit. But once that goes away, it probably will erode premiums a little bit. So I would say, somewhere, just using current market, 120 to long end, 115, 116 next year, just to be conservative. It could be higher. It may very well likely be higher, but you want to be conservative. But either way, the market should be pretty strong price-wise next year.
Bob, I've read something that someone was considering going back and guaranteeing the first lien position on 504. Have you heard anything more of that, or was that just a trial balloon, or what do you think is going to happen in the 504 market?
Well, it was called the FMLP program back in 2010. It was part of the Recovery Act from the credit crisis. It was very successful. So people have been trying to bring it back, for another round. So, I mean, I know people are, I for one would like to see it again. I think it was a great program. Didn't cost the SBA any money. In fact, they've made money on the program from the last time. So I think it'd be a great way to help the 504 market. We'll see whether that will actually happen. I don't give it a high probability, but I've been wrong before. So I know that people want to bring it back. I know people want to bring it back, and I think it's a good program, and hopefully someone will do so.
We're going to put Lance on the spot here with question number 2. What is SBA's ranking in the federal budget for expenditures in 2020? So we're comparing it with armed services, HHS, and the rest of the government budgets, the cabinet budgets. Lance, I'm gonna let you have your first shot at this one.
I wonder if it's even on the list. I'm going to say number 5 at best.
It looks like it's either there was an article that I picked up that said it was number 1. I wasn't able to verify. I do know that defense is $738 billion. We know we have $650 billion in stimulus and more than that.
Oh, you're including PPP.
Well,
okay.
Of course. It's part of the federal budget. Of course I'm including that. Anyway, the takeaway on this is SBA not only has a seat at the table, but they're constructing the table, Lance.
Well, I would say prior to PPP, 5 would be the very best, but with PPP, I'm not surprised that it might be number 1.
Yeah. We like to the answers are all over the board, and we just like to throw those out to make you think about it. Katie, do you have an opinion about this?
I think it's actually very interesting. I was looking at other countries' GDP the other day and just seeing how large this PPP program really is compared to, it's larger than some other countries' entire GDP. So it's really a large program.
And I think we need to keep that in context is this is huge. They're talking about further round 3s. I know Southern California is still closed. Bob is saying New York's starting to open. But there are a lot of bad signals or bad rain clouds on the horizon, Lance, that portend a issue with the viability of small business.
I think that's absolutely true. So many businesses across the country got PPP funds, but they're not fully operational yet.
Still
the
closed.
other thing comes into play, Bob, that I've been talking about over the past several days, those CARES Act payments that all the SBA borrowers are getting are ending soon. A large percentage of my borrowers, as an example, September will be their last CARES Act payment. So what happens to those small businesses that have been propped up by the CARES Act payments when that ends? That's a big question.
Right. Very good. And this is just curious for budgetary analysis. What is the demand in your footprint for 7A loans? We talked about during the Great Recession, it was this a demand problem or a supply problem in terms of cutting of access to capital from Main Street. And it was really a supply issue. So this time around, I want to know. And 55% say people need loans. What do you think about that, Lance?
I'm not surprised at all. Same thing I've seen in my market. Once PPP got kind of, it's not over, but once the majority of the people got their PPP funds, there's a lot of activity in 7A lending right now. So the demand is good. It's not unlike past recessions where SBA lending all of a sudden, not only has it elevated itself on a federal government level, but in most financial institutions, SBA lending becomes a very important product in difficult times like this.
Katie, you write our movers and shakers, and over the past year, we haven't seen that slack off at all. People are still changing banks, changing institutions. There is a demand for quality BDOs that is significantly different than was 10 years ago when we were firing everyone.
Right, and I was just noticing the other day when I was writing this week's article that we are seeing a larger number of institutions announcing that they're doing more and more of these 7A loans. So it is still a very large product.
Bob, we're going to ask the same question for 504. What do you think the answer is going to be?
It's increased.
Sorry,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Bob.
So what was the question?
The question is, what is the demand in your footprint for SBA 504 loans? Are they increasing, decreasing, or they're about the same?
I would say increasing. I mean, it's such a great asset to both for the borrower and for the lender. So, I mean, I know for a fact that there are a ton of, there's people looking to buy these things in the secondary market. There's lenders looking to make them, and certainly borrowers looking to take them out. So I would say increasing.
And the answer is very good. 78% said they were increasing, which shows me both of those answers. There is a demand. There's an appetite for entrepreneurs to take on risk. I know 2012, 2013, we had a lot of studies saying, hey, let's be careful about adding debt. But as Lance has pointed out, sometimes debt is needed, and this is certainly one of those times in our economic cycle. Bob, tell me.
Bob,
Go ahead.
the other thing, Bob, is the interest rate on the debenture side of the 504 loan is so incredible right now that, especially 504 refinances, you're seeing a lot of borrowers say, hey, I can lock in, 40 or in some cases 50% of my deal at an interest rate fixed for 25 years at below 3%.
Lance, I haven't heard any. I know there was a lot of grumblings earlier about processing and approval of 504 loans. I haven't heard, I haven't heard any grumbling lately about that processing, and which tells me that SBA wants to get behind this and help out as much as possible.
Absolutely. The processing speed is good, and the demand's very high. So the 504 product, if you're not using it in your bank, it's a good way to lower your risk on a deal. It's a good way to provide a outstanding blended interest rate to the borrower. It's just a great product.
This is, we take Bob Judge's information. Bob, by the way, has a separate newsletter called the CPR Report. Be sure we'll give you his contact information at the end. You should get that to your CFO. And we also publish the 7A as well as the 504 numbers that we get from Bob and also others in the industry. So this is a very good chart of where we are. And as you can see, the weekly change, what Bob is saying, we're hitting 120. And whenever we hit, historically, when we hit 120, Bob, the Congress and others in the industry tend to slap us down.
Yeah, they don't want you to get too fat and sassy with too much profit, so it does tend to bounce off that number and come back down. Plus, that's a pretty you almost need a perfect storm to be for investors to be able to make money at that kind of price point. So right now you kind of have that, but who knows how long that lasts. And then we'll see. As next year comes, when do prepayments go back up? Do defaults start rising? Where interest rates are going to be? Will the Fed finance the stuff some more? So that's there's a lot of uncertainty as to what happens next year.
Yeah, and we have to remember that this is not a bank bailout program. This is to bail out Main Street. Yes, and guess what? Banks need to make money because they have something called infrastructure. They got people that need to process the paperwork. So from our corner of the world, there's nothing wrong with fees and with this, because the end result is we're getting the banks are plowing the profits back into Main Street. So I'm speaking to the choir on that one, Lance.
Well, absolutely, Bob. As SBA goes, small businesses benefit when SBA programs work well, and SBA programs work well when banks can make a profit using the SBA product. So.
Well, it's Fraud Friday. We love to look at the train wrecks and we shake our heads, and this is not what you should be doing. Again, to put this in perspective, this is not even a rounding error. There are issues from time to time, and we talk about them just to let the industry know these are things not to do. What you got for us, Katie?
So in this case, we have a former Bank of America client relationship manager who applied for, he created an account for a client who had been with the bank for quite a while, creating this account without their knowledge on his own, and then ordered a debit card in his name sent to him. He then transferred money back and forth between this client's accounts, both of their business accounts and into his fraudulent account, and then back into their accounts, leaving about $600 for himself. And the reason he did that was to hide how much money $600,000 for himself. The reason he did that was to hide how much was really being moved around and how much he was using. He then used those funds to purchase a brand new Porsche SUV, luxury goods. There was a mention of Apple, so I'm guessing he got some computer equipment, and he also paid off a bunch of credit cards with the money as well. And really, the thing that stuck out to me with this one was Bank of America, of course, later fires him and asks why did he pick this particular client. And the reason he selected them is because they had already been defrauded before, and they did not press charges, and he thought they would not press charges in this case.
I got nothing to add to that on the Lance. What amazes me is what's really sad about this is if you look at the value of a banker's income stream over the course of the career, I don't know what the age of this person is, but 1.5 is definitely less than what you can make over a 30-year career. So it's sad to see people go down this path. Real quick, I know we're running out of time. And then we bought a house in Las Vegas.
Right. So in this particular case, I don't know if we have a slide on it, but this is a PPP loan. There you go. This man applied for both a PPP loan and an EIDL loan in the name of two different businesses. When they looked into it, they're saying they can't find any proof that he has any employees or payroll, but he ends up taking the funds and using it to purchase a house for himself and his family, and he recently moved into that house. And I'm guessing he's going to have to give it back.
Yeah, I think he's going to be moving out pretty soon. So
30-year mortgage rates, Bob, are outstanding, but the PPP 30-year, of course, it wouldn't be a 30-year rate, but PPP rate is even better. But he got caught.
Yeah, and anyway, another one. He may be spending some time at a country club.
Probably so.
Just on your radar, we are going to be asking for nominations for the following categories. Let's see, Bob, Judge, real quick, we are postponing our secondary market summit. What are we thinking right now? It was scheduled for the first week of December, but the issue is we usually have it at our third partner, which is Blank Rome, Marty Teckler. It looks like they're going to be closed through the balance of the year, so that may be difficult. But what are we thinking, Bob? April? Is that?
Yeah, that probably makes sense, given an extra 3 months for things to open up, and hopefully we can have it, have it in, well, we need to have it in person, otherwise it's kind of hard to I don't know why we would bother if we didn't have it in person. So I think that sounds like a good.
Yeah, we're not going to go virtual. The purpose of this is truly networking. We get the investors from Wall Street. We get SBA sends over a contingent of people. So it's a nice event, and I do not. Bob and I are in agreement. This doesn't make sense to do on a virtual basis. And let's see, we got other stuff here, but I'm gonna cut us off. Wish everyone a good weekend, and thank you for joining us for Coleman Report Live, reporting America's Main Street, one entrepreneur at a time.
Have a great
Have a
weekend.
great weekend.